Welcome to the Value Proposition by the Fitness Business Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Pellegrino. The Value Proposition was created specifically for industry suppliers to showcase the value that they bring to health club owners and operators beyond their product or service. Today, we'll be speaking with a dynamic duo that makes up Oxygen Yoga and Fitness, a Canadian-based fitness studio franchise, who recently has been named one of the top 500 global franchises for 2021 by Entrepreneur Franchise Magazine. Joining us today, we have Jen Hamilton, CEO and franchisor at Oxygen Yoga and Fitness, and Melissa Hansons, COO of Oxygen Yoga and Fitness. Jen is going to start us off today with our 3 real minutes, or 3RM as we like to say here, to give us some background on how Oxygen Yoga and Fitness came to be. Jen, welcome to the Value Proposition.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So I am so curious, I know our listeners are too, to hear how Oxygen Yoga and Fitness was born into the industry and how many locations there are today.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, way back in 2012, I actually encountered this yoga studio. And at that time, I wasn't really abreast with yoga, although I was interested and curious on what it would bring to myself and how it could enhance my life. I was a fitness enthusiast. So long story short, I went in and I did a class at this yoga studio, and the infrared was amazing. And I was basically sold of the way I felt right on the spot. So fast forward a little bit, I used to have, my previous business was called Cardio Core Boot Camp. And obviously boot camp, being outdoors, I was a fitness enthusiast. So that's where my passion was. And that's where I exuded myself. So I was given an opportunity to teach some boot camp classes at this yoga studio. So I did. Next thing you know, I was propositioned to ask if I wanted to purchase the yoga studio. At the time, I was actually flipping houses. So instead of buying a house, I bought a yoga studio and basically collaborated the two different ideas, the yoga and fitness concept, together in this beautiful infrared environment. And that was how Oxygen Yoga and Fitness was born.
Wow. Okay. You have an incredible track record of making things into gold, huh? Flipping houses, then fitness. I love that, Jen. And how many locations are there today? So you started out as one sole location. Where do we stand in 2021?
2021, we actually just in this past month have sold 6 locations. So we are at 89 locations now sold across Canada. And it's very exciting. And I can't wait to see the growth over the next year and their following.
Absolutely. That is so great. Jen, tell us the type of workout that someone can expect at Oxygen Yoga and Fitness.
Well, the beautiful thing about Oxygen is we have such a diversified program. So obviously yoga has been around for thousands of years. So our primary business was yoga, and then introducing fitness. And then we've fused the two concepts together to create an element of yoga and fitness, and they complement one another so well.
So cool. And in your opinion, what sets Oxygen Yoga and Fitness apart from any other workouts?
Well, what could I say? I think Oxygen Yoga and Fitness, we're not your typical yoga studio. We combine fitness and yoga and fuse the two concepts together in a really diversified environment that creates community and fosters people just coming together and taking time for themselves.
Perfect. Amazing. So great. Thank you, Jen, for giving us the 3RM and a little introduction to Oxygen Yoga and Fitness. So we're going to dive right into the conversation. And I know, I love the conversation around franchising and fitness, especially in today's market. I'm sure you both agree. There's a lot of money in fitness right now. Real estate is hot. So I'm very excited to hear your thoughts, Jen, on this big picture concept. So there are some businesses, right, that do really well with one or two locations and they just stay that way, right? They make great revenue, they have great cultures, but they just stay one or two locations. And then you have these studios and health clubs that have been incredibly successful because of franchising. So I'm curious to hear, how do you know you have an idea that is worth franchising? What is it?
Well, I mean, obviously with franchising, you need consistency and it needs to be able to be duplicated. There is some variance within obviously fitness. So with some of our formatting, there is a little bit of flexibility, but with the branding and everything that coincides with oxygen yoga and fitness, I saw it as an opportunity to share, to be honest with you. I actually never intended to franchise again, as I did with my previous business. But with this oxygen, I literally was instructing a class. I walked through and I had just finished teaching a class, walked through the class, and there was somebody lying on their mat in Shavasana, and she says, "I want one." I looked at her and I said, "You want one what?" She says, I want a franchise. And I kind of looked at her. I got goosebumps. Actually, I just got goosebumps now, just reliving that story. And I kind of got that taste on my tongue, but I was like, I'm ready to share this, because you know what? I know people are coming from, different communities and driving an hour and a half because they loved the experience on what they had in coming to these classes and enjoying the infrared and the diversity of the programs. And it was just at that there, I was like, okay, I've done this franchise thing once before. Now I'm ready to do it again, but do it better. And it was so much easier jumping through those hoops, right? But I had different hoops and different challenges that I was faced with. But here we are today, and I couldn't be happier.
How many years into owning the studio was that moment when you were like, okay, I need to franchise this?
Well, it was about eight months after I had purchased the studio.
Wow.
And then what happened is I sold 9 locations very quickly within that first year. So then I actually put the franchise opportunities on hold and press pause because we were growing too quickly, and I needed to create the policies and procedures to support the franchisees and their growth and development. And then I put it back on the table and then had to press pause again when we were at about 20 locations, because we were just at that level of growth. And it was at that time that I chose to create master franchise opportunities in different regions, recognizing I was a single mom of 3 and I couldn't be here, there, and everywhere. Therefore, once again, sharing, allowing people to have, a bigger piece of this business opportunity and more invested. And that was that.
Oh my goodness. And was that member that said, "I want one," which that is such a powerful experience, did that member actually end up buying into the franchise?
She did, and she's still around, and her name is Lori, and it was the Langley location, and she has 2 locations now, actually.
That is such a great story.
Yes. Yeah, it is a great story. Actually, her daughters primarily run the business now, so it's a family-run business.
So cool. And I love what you just, walked us through too, Jen, was, knowing that I need to pause in order to continue to grow. I think people make that mistake a lot, right? They try to get too big too quick, and it can be really detrimental to the success of your business. So that's great insight there. And Jen, what advice would you give to someone running a studio right now, okay, that thinks they could franchise their concept? Where should they begin? Who should they consult with? What do they do next?
Well, I think the key is to developing a roadmap, right? Without a roadmap, without a plan of action, you don't have something to gauge and to follow. So first is figure out like your why. Why are you doing this, right? And what are you going to do? Who are you going to serve? And when are you going to do it? And determine those, and then allow yourself to really be honest. Where are you strong? ask questions. I would reach out to other franchisors and, ask what their hiccups were when they first started their business and where were their successes, and then allow yourself to gauge in that roadmap on the direction that you want to go to. And I think organization and communication with others, learning off others, not letting your ego get in the way of finding and searching for those people who can truly help you. And anybody who is a humble business owner will share because they want to see other people succeed and grow. And that's part of networking and part of just ethics. And I think being a good human being and just helping other people, reach their goals and find their success map and getting there. And being a part of that, I've worked with many other franchise businesses to give them advice. And, others have bought and sold and their business. It's been just so beautiful though, watching people go through, the journey.
That's fantastic advice. And it is a journey, right? You have that initial roadmap and I'm sure it evolves and changes over the years. So I am very curious, Jen, to hear how your business has evolved over the years. Has it changed mainly due to franchise feedback or influence, or have there been other factors?
I think, business needs to change. You've got your core foundation to the business, although you need to evolve and change always. And I think time to reflect every 3 months is healthy. Create another set of goals for yourself. Create not another roadmap, but maybe you need to take a different path in different areas. Communication is key. I mean, with our franchisees, we have meetings constantly. We keep the floor open for ideas, brainstorming collectively. We all can create many more ideas, rather than just one person. Reaching out to our members, understanding, why the member is coming, what is keeping them engaged, and just really being involved. I continue to go to our locations. I still teach classes at the locations. I ask to teach classes actually, because it brings me right back to where I started. My passion for this business was derived through providing classes to members and watching them smile and say, have a good day when they left the doors, right? And that, I think you always need to kind of circulate yourself back and bring yourself back to that place of passion and gratitude that allowed you to create the business. And I think that's really, really important.
Absolutely. Anchoring back to the basics, right? And the passion, that's so important. So thank you so much, Jen. And, what areas do you feel that of the business, do you feel that the franchisor should control? And which areas of the business do you want your franchisees to have a little bit more freedom? What I mean by that is, when you look into a studio, you have what kind of lease they get into, right? The building, what the building looks like. You have software, you have equipment, you have pricing, marketing materials, decor. Talk to us a little bit about how what areas of that you control.
Well, you touched on so many different points. I think that the main point in a franchise system is consistency. So, but I mean, recognizing that in different areas, pricing might fluctuate just based on lease costs or what have you. So understanding and listening to your franchisees. And this is one thing actually that I can share that maybe I should have learned earlier on to develop a tier pricing system based on lease prices. I felt, and this was years ago, so I've changed, I've evolved, that I needed pricing consistent right across the board. Well, when I took a step back and really looked at it through, the franchisee's eyes, I was doing them a disservice by not allowing them to be priced in accordance to the environment that they were, or their location that they were operating their business out of. So I really, really think being able to take a step back, put yourself in the shoes of the person or the people who are helping you assist and grow your business is so important. And allowing, the ability to listen. It's not always to have an answer right away. And this is another thing that I've learned over the years, is taking it back, saying thank you. Thank you for providing me with that information. Now I'm going to take it back to my team, and we're going to digest it, and we're going to come back with some possible solutions. And I think as a leader, people feel that you need to always have an answer, and you need to have that answer right away. It's better to take the time and answer it properly rather than quickly. And that's another thing that I've learned, is I get a lot more respect by taking it back, digesting it, and really understanding the needs to make a worthwhile decision on behalf of the people who are supporting, Oxygen Yoga and Fitness.
Absolutely. You have your customers, right? Your franchisees, and then you have your members. It's a lot of influence, a lot of feedback. So that's a huge, huge point, Jen. Thank you. Now, I want to pivot a little bit into creative revenue streams, because you both have come up with the most creative idea that I've seen in the franchise world as of late. So you had mentioned, Jen, that during COVID, you and your team created a subscription box that members could purchase as a way to provide extra revenue streams to your franchisees. And I think it's brilliant. So I'd love for you to tell our listeners more about this.
Well, this was, and I want to say kudos to my corporate team, because they brought the idea, and then I kind of ran with it a little bit, and then we, pivoted back and forth. The idea behind the subscription box was to create engagement and continue that engagement during COVID. Obviously, all of our doors were closed. And it was another way of just reaching out to like-minded businesswomen to support each other during these difficult times. So that was the actual purpose behind the box, was to reach out, connect with other like-minded people, and, draw attention to their businesses or their services that they provide. And we did just that. But it was such an overwhelming success, and it was just amazing. Our first box, we had Brunette the Label as our hero item in that box, and then we had 12 other amazing businesses that we all collaborated together, and it worked out so beautifully. And we've made these amazing relationships with these other business women. We've connected with so many different people who might not have been aware of Oxygen Yoga and Fitness. So what we did is we gave ourselves the ability to tap into a different demographic and draw attention to what we do, who we are, and the services we provide. And during COVID as well, we created an on-demand platform, which gave the ability, because of course in this first box, we gave a 3-month subscription to our on-demand platform. So creating awareness on what it is that we do, so people could understand, the formats and the classes, and become engaged in our business as well. So it was amazing. And Melissa, I don't know if you want to tail on to anything that I possibly missed, or.
I don't think you missed anything, Jen. It's been it was definitely an interesting year, and being able to keep people engaged and keep our franchisees engaged with these alternative avenues for revenue stream. Yeah, it's just it kept everybody going, and like Jen said, connecting with other local, mostly women-led businesses. Lots of artisan, lots of women supporting each other. It's just been a really, really powerful experience.
Brilliant. I said it before, I'm saying it again. I love the strategy, and to tie it back to on-demand fitness is just incredible. So I'm curious, with that free 3-month membership, I'm assuming that most of those members have stayed, right? Did they love it? Have they stayed members? What are those figures looking like now?
I don't have accurate figures to speak to right now, although the feedback that we've received from people who've received these boxes and have done the classes has been extremely positive. And at the end game, it was, for us to create awareness about our programs, our classes, and then have them experience what it feels like inside one of our studios, feeling the benefits of the infrared, feeling the benefits of the community and all of the like-minded people there surrounding them. And it's all worked out absolutely beautifully. And I think we achieved our goal there, and I think even exceeded it.
Jen, what is the name of the box in case our listeners are curious? I know they will be.
It is a Love My Life box. And that's what we say at the end of each and every class. We say, I love my life.
Love that. That's fantastic. So cool. Awesome. And Jen, just playing off of that, right? The Love My Life box. In what other ways are you supporting your franchisees' businesses year round?
Oh my goodness. Well, obviously we support them just with all of our endeavors from a corporate perspective. We have so many different avenues that we've worked on. So over this past year, I can give some examples. I mean, we did equipment sales. We have different, we've got clothing. We've got our protein powder line. We've got our subscription box. We've got lots of different other revenue streams that support and layer the business to create, obviously, more revenue, more engagement, and just different opportunities for the franchisees within our system.
And I'm curious too, are there any community retreats? I know the past year has been tricky, but historically and going forward, are there opportunities for franchisees to meet and collaborate with one another? Are there trainings? Do you help with the training of your instructors, certifications, things like that?
All of the above.
Okay.
So yes. So I'm glad we clarified that. So we obviously we need teachers to teach our classes. Therefore, we created our O2 teacher training, and that helps us feed our pipeline. Also creates opportunities for instructors to create revenue, and we also do retreats. So one of our previous franchisees, Jason, who owned the Chilliwack location, has a retreat in Costa Rica. And we've gone there a number of times with members and done some teacher training sessions there as well. And it's absolutely beautiful, picturesque. We do ongoing workshops with our franchisees from an operational standpoint, as well as we do instructional workshops to just bring other instructors up to speed, or if we've got new, shiny, bright, innovative ideas, we share them together as well in a workshop format. The one beautiful thing that we've really kind of taken advantage of and learned the benefits about is Zoom, like what we're on right now, right? So we can cast such a wide net now on offering open communication, training systems, and enhancing and developing our brand so much more effectively now and so much more readily at our fingertips with these platforms that I don't think in the past that we might have exercised to our full advantage. Pardon the pun, exercised.
I could not agree with you more. It's just we can do it bigger and better, right? And you can include people. That's awesome. That's awesome. Great insight, Jen. Thank you. And last but not least, you kind of answered it earlier, but looking back on your journey, on your fitness success with Oxygen Yoga and Fitness, is there anything else that you would have done differently?
That's a really good question. I'm really happy with the journey that I went on. I think possibly I would have brought on a partner as I did, as Patch is my partner who owns Good Life Fitness, possibly would have brought on a partner sooner, because me bringing on the partnership with Patch wasn't for a financial gain. It was for a business presence, to provide me networks, to provide a bigger audience that I could grow with. So bringing on Patch has created so many networks for me on opening up the business and growing the business. And prior to COVID, our growth strategy was to hit the States. I had international interest, and obviously COVID put a bit of a slow to that, but that's okay, because what we did is we took advantage of this time during COVID to really plan an effective action plan as to how we are going to grow the States and how we are going to go international. So I'm extremely excited, as I'm going to be a speaker at the Mind Body Conference in San Diego at the end of August. And Mind Body, in conjunction with us, is helping us with a marketing plan, and they are supporting us in the growth and development and creating awareness, just as I believe this podcast is going to do as well, to help facilitate in the growth and really show America what us Canadians are all about.
That's right. I think it is safe to say the future is bright for the O2.
It is bright. I'm sorry if that was cheeky.
I love it. I love it. All right, Melissa, we're coming your way. You have such an interesting perspective to give our listeners, because you started out as a franchisee owner and actually gave up your location to join the corporate team. So please tell us your story. Why did you choose initially to purchase into the Oxygen Yoga and Fitness franchise?
So I don't know if you've met Jen, but she's quite infectious. So Jen and I are from the same hometown, and we've run in the same circles through our kids' sports and through different business ventures, and our paths had crossed throughout the years. And I said to Jen one day when we were talking about something completely unrelated, I said to her, what does it take to have a studio? What does it take to have a franchise? Because this, at the time, this was several years ago, it just kept blowing up and multiplying, and just the lifestyle surrounding it and the social media presence that Jen had. And, it was something that you just felt like you wanted to be a part of. And for me, I mean, I have a background in corporate, in business, in human resources, in marketing and sales. So I've done the gamut of corporate roles throughout my career. And I said to her, I think this is something that I could really, really enjoy doing. So I literally 2 weeks later purchased a location and loved every minute of it. Throughout COVID, though, things obviously slowed down. All the studios were closed. And I said to Jen, if you need any help, I have time on my hands now. And because I do have a lot of experience in different areas of the corporate environment, Jen basically an hour later phoned me back and took me up on my offer to help out, and said, I'm actually looking for a COO. And I said, let's do it. And throughout COVID, with the studios being open and closed, it was manageable. I still had my location until recently, but now coming to the tail end of the closures and all the studios reopening, we've had complete influx of franchise sales leads, franchise inquiries. Things are getting super busy again, like amazingly busy. We're so excited that things are busy again. So Jen and I had a chat, and there was somebody who was interested in my location, and Jen and I felt it was best that, as things were just picking up like mad around the corporate team, that I would let my studio go with love and make sure it went to the right person who would take care of my instructors and my members, because they meant a lot to me and their happiness meant a lot to me. And I wanted to make sure they were taken care of. And so we have a lovely, lovely lady that's taken over and is doing a fantastic job. And it just allows me to focus on everything that's that's being thrown at me on a daily basis from the corporate side of things. Because like I said, we've been having a ton of interest in new franchises. So
I love
it's keeping us
that.
busy.
That is,
yeah.
Well, it's great to hear, right? After the past year, that to hear the interest is there on the franchise side. That's great. That's so nice to hear. And what a sweet story. You two are definitely the dream team. So I love that. That's awesome. Melissa, in your opinion, what is the most important way to support franchisees? Is it financially, emotionally, physically, with you being there and being in person? You know, what's the secret sauce here?
So I think the secret sauce is, like Jen said, all of the above. So everybody needs different things. Everybody needs, we have franchisees that are completely independent, who understand the back end systems, who just do their thing, and you almost never hear from them. And then you have franchisees who are stronger in other areas and maybe, not as strong in others, who need a little bit of support, whether it's technically, whether it's physically going to the location to support them, whether it's, like you said, emotionally. Sometimes people just, it's been a hard year. Like, let's be honest, it's been a difficult year. And sometimes people just need to be put back on the right track and know that, hey, the end is coming. We're going to get back on track. And sometimes people just need a pep talk. So it really depends on the person and the personality and their strengths and what they need. And for us, I think it's being flexible to be who they need us to be individually, right? And I think that's the secret sauce for support. Sometimes somebody will prefer just popping you a quick text message. Other people don't want to talk to you at all and they'll just email. And some people need to get on the phone and have a good old-fashioned conversation. So, for me, I do my best to be available to anybody and everybody within reason. Sometimes I get messages pretty early in the morning, and I'm like, remember, we're on a different time zone here, guys. But I do, and I know as Jen does, to try to be available in whatever way people need us to be for them.
That's a powerful answer. And what I love about your answer, Melissa, is that it shows that you both know your people, right? You know your franchisees. Just the fact that you answered the way you did, that really says a lot just about the corporate team and the values that you set in corporate and just how they trickle down. So great answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
To piggyback off of that question, in the fitness industry specifically, I have seen with all kinds of different franchises, I have seen the control range from 10% to 100%. And I've seen every single thing in between, right? There's ones that like controlling everything. There's ones that are like, nope, we'll control 50%, and then you go the rest of the way. So if we had to look at this percentage scale, where would you say that Oxygen Yoga and Fitness falls on that control percentage scale?
Yeah. And I think, everything in between you mentioned, we're somewhere in between. Like Jen mentioned earlier, it's important to have consistency. It really, really is. You don't want to walk into one Oxygen and walk into another and not know where you are. You want to know you're at an Oxygen Yoga and Fitness studio. You want to have that same feeling, that same vibe, that same culture. But on the other hand, every studio and every owner and every group of instructors has their own flavor. And that's what makes it so special at the same time. Every community, every demographic is a little bit different. So I would definitely say we're somewhere in the middle when it comes to systems and, class structure. You can go to the same exact class one day and have a different instructor teach it the next day. Well, for us, in terms of control, it's the class format. But that instructor puts their own flavor and flair to it, and it's a completely different feeling class at the same time. So we're definitely somewhere in the middle. We do value consistency. We value strong systems. So throughout the past year, being able to really put a lot of thought and brains and muscles behind our back-end systems, right? And have everybody really understand how things work on the back end, whether it be mind body or whether it be our internal franchise system that we use. Just being able to build up those systems so that everybody's on the same page and bring everybody together, as opposed to, everybody choosing their own thing and doing what they want and making their own pricing. So we're definitely somewhere in between, but there definitely has to be consistency with everybody's personal flair.
The sweet spot. That's where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. We're the sweet spot.
Yes. Perfect.
But I mean, at the end of the day, your business isn't going to run itself either, right? So that's where the owners and operators come in. They need to put that energy into working with their staff and working with their members. You know, that's not something corporate can jump in and do, right? So definitely that is them, but we will give them the training and the backgrounds and the systems to do it to the best of their ability.
Great to know. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Melissa, what is your franchise sales strategy? So when you're looking at new franchisees, who is your ideal owner?
So I don't know if Jen and I would have the same answer, but maybe. We haven't actually discussed this, but I feel like we look for somebody who has passion. You know, things can be learned. The business can be learned. The systems can be learned. We have sales and operations training, and, you know, we have teacher training. We have all this stuff. People can learn it. If you have the passion and the drive and the energy and the love for the business, we can't teach you that. We can try and push you along, but that's not going to do any good in the long run, right? So we need people who are passionate, who are going to absolutely love the business and love what they do, and people who love people, I think, is really important. And people who are just willing to learn and who are open are definitely, I mean, that's what I would say. Jen, you can add to that or correct me if I'm out to lunch, but I think passion is definitely top of the list.
I would have to agree with you. And I think, as you know, we have many different discussions with potential franchisees and franchisees. Passion is something that we can't sell you. It needs to be authentic and it needs to come from within. And a lot of our franchisees were previous members, and that came from just a really authentic place of coming to class and loving what they do, and they would continue to come to class, and then I think they would start counting numbers of heads in the class and the multiple classes throughout the day. So then looked at it from a business perspective, and then, you know, those questions kind of dovetail into next steps. But definitely passion is the key to having a successful franchisee, and just allowing us to mold all of our business systems into that passion and weave it in. I think we're on the same page there, Miss Melissa.
I think so too.
I think so too.
Good. I'm glad.
Wonderful. Whew. Yeah. Perfect. Now, Melissa, from our previous conversations, and Jen gave us a little intro into this as well. So we have learned that Oxygen Yoga and Fitness is wanting to branch out and have franchisees in the US, right? Mm-hmm. So if someone listening is interested in learning more about this opportunity, what is the first step that they should take?
Go to our website, oxygenyogaandfitness.com. From there, you can see everything about the company from there, but there's also a section where you can just fill out your basic information, name, address, phone number, email, to apply for more information to become a franchisee. Jen and myself will reach out. We'll start that conversation. You know, we've talked to people across the US, but across the Atlantic as well. We've spoken to people all over the world, and we're in a really good place now. Like I alluded to before, putting that energy into getting our systems in a really good place. So yeah, the first thing we'll do is reach out to you and get that conversation going, and go from there.
That's wonderful. And I have a bonus question for you both, actually, just based on that potential franchisee interview. What is the best question that a potential franchisee has asked you both about Oxygen Yoga and Fitness in that process?
Melissa, do you want to answer that first, or?
I was going to actually throw it to you.
Okay. Well, here we are trying to be polite and respectful for one another. Okay. The best question that a potential franchisee has asked me is, and it's a pretty basic question, is what was your vision when you first started the business? And did you meet or beat your expectations? And it was kind of a humbling moment, because my vision when I first started the business was to have one singular studio. So it just allowed me to really think and embrace the fact that I've brought so many other people into this business to share, in the growth and the development and the success within the business. And I mean, this award that I just received, or the accolade, I should say, being in the top 500 globally, is kind of all ties in together. So I don't know if I answered that properly, but okay. That was one of my questions that really rings out.
So it's safe to say you beat your expectations, right, Jen?
I did, but as I said, like, we always need to keep reestablishing new goals. So by next year, I want to be at 150 locations.
Woo-hoo!
So it's just, yes, it's continuing. And I want all of the 50 to be in the States. So that is goals that I'm looking forward to achieving and being able to cross off my list and reset again.
Oh, I love that so much, Jen. Well, we are happy to be your accountability buddies. How about that? We'll follow up with
Sounds
you.
wonderful.
See where you are. Melissa, anything else to add to the, what you were in that seat, right?
And that's where I was going to take that as well, is as a former franchisee, and I'm literally just recently a former franchisee, I do get quite a few questions about what it's like to be an owner and running the business and stuff like that. But a question that I find really important that people do ask, and I actually love answering, is what's the most important part of being a franchisee? What's the most important role an owner has? And to me, that's relationships. So really getting to know your members, getting to know your staff. Everybody that walks through that door should feel like you know them and you care about them and you understand them. For me, it was really important to know that, let's say Mary had a knee injury 2 months ago and she's still trying to work her way through it, and make sure our instructor knows that, right? So that when they're entering into a pose or entering into a particular exercise, they know that Mary may need to modify, right? So little things like that, saying, oh, how's your granddaughter that was just born? Or those little personal touches are what keeps people coming back. And I think that relationship piece is of the utmost importance. We need to know that Betty, when she comes in, she likes the 8-pound weights instead of the 5-pound weights. So we have those ready for her, right? Just those little things, the personal touches, I think are really, really important. Jen used to call my studio the Cheers of Oxygen, yes, where everybody knows your name.
Seriously. But I think what the key to our success with Oxygen and with this business is we are a PR business driven by a service model, and we continue to create experiences for people and those experiences that they want to return to. And that's the premise of, what I started back in 2012, and it's been emulated through each and every franchisee who has a location. And that personal touch, just as Melissa has said, has really, really been an extension of what we first started, and everybody kind of shares in that same vision, and it's so important.
That is beautiful. Well, ladies, I am so appreciative of the insights that you have shared with our FBP family today. Thank you so, so much for joining us. And
thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. And I know we are going to have listeners that are going to want to know more about the franchise. They're going to want to buy in. And I know we're going to have some listeners that may want to try Oxygen Yoga and Fitness as a workout. So Melissa, do we have a special offer for the value proposition listeners here?
We do. So if you go again to the Oxygen Yoga and Fitness website, you can launch our on-demand platform straight from our main homepage. If you put in the promo code Oxygen21 at checkout, you'll receive 25% off your monthly membership for our on-demand platform. There's hundreds and hundreds of classes and videos and fitness and yoga and different styles, a little bit of everything for everyone. So we encourage you to check it out. And if you love what you see and maybe you want a location of your own, then again, right straight from that homepage, you can launch the franchisee inquiry form.
So generous. Thank you both so much. And I'm going to give you both the last word here. Melissa, what is one quick piece of advice to anyone considering buying into a franchise today?
Love it. Love it.
That's a good one.
Follow your heart. No, really, it's very simple. Love what you do. If you're passionate about it, you will make it successful. But love what you do.
Powerful. Jen, how about you?
Well, I think honestly, as Melissa said, you need to love what you do and do what you love. But do your due diligence, take time, research. Just as we research a franchisee, research the franchisor, research the company that you're investing with, because that is going to be an extension of yourself. So if you can honestly and truly feel that the company could be an extension of yourself and vice versa, then you're in a great place.
I love that. The values have to align and you have to love it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Oh, perfect advice, ladies. Thank you all for tuning in today to hear the value proposition for franchising in today's market with the team at Oxygen Yoga and Fitness. Tune in Friday, September 17th for our next episode. And to show we walk the talk at the Fitness Business Podcast, all the resources and links for today's show can be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, adding value to our FBP family. Until next month, what you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. See you next time, FBP family.